This is the pendant we're going to make. And here's the same pendant made in a few different color combinations. So let's talk about the materials we're going to need. For this pendant, you're going to need one 8x10 millimeter rondelle crystal and 10 4x6 millimeter rondelle crystals. And you're also going to need 11O Toho seed beads and either a bail or a large jump ring to hook it to a chain or a cord or a ribbon. So let's get started. I'm using a size 10 needle with 6-pound fire line, and I'm going to start with an 8x10 rondelle followed by 5 4x6 millimeter rondelles, and I'll string those on. And then I will tie a knot to form a loop. Then I'll go back up through the large crystal. I'll string on 5 4x6 millimeter rondelles and go back up through the large crystal. Now I want to go around all of the 4x6 crystals, and I want to go through them twice plus 1. So I'll count it out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've gone through around once, I'll go around once more. 1, 2. 3, 4. 5, 6. 7, 8. 9, 10. And one more. Okay, at this point I'm going to snip this end so that it is out of my way. Okay, I've snipped the end. So now I'm going to put on 6 seed beads. I'm going to skip this crystal and go through the next one. Put on 5 seed beads, and then go through the last seed bead plus the next 2 crystals. And I'll repeat that all the way around. 5 seed beads, going through the last seed bead and next 2 crystals. Add 5 seed beads, go through the last seed bead and the next 2 crystals. Add 5 seed beads, go through the last seed bead and the next 2 crystals. Add 5 seed beads, go through the last seed bead and the next 2 crystals. Five seed beads, going through the last seed bead and the next 2 crystals. Five seed beads, going through last seed bead and the next 2 crystals. Five seed beads, going through the last seed bead and the next 2 crystals. And since I'm on my last one, I'm going to go through that very first seed bead. Add 4 seed beads this time and go through the last seed bead and the next crystal. At this point, I want to go up through this seed bead that's in between the 2 crystals, and I'm ready for the next row. For the next row, I'm going to be putting little points on each of these petals, but I will do it differently on the top crystal of the oval and the bottom crystal of the oval because there's more of a curve there. So I'll start by going through the next 2 seed beads, add a seed bead, and go through the next 2. So I've made a point there. Now, since I'm at this crystal, is the next one, I'm going to go and put the tip on by going around. So I will go down this seed bead that's in between, go through the crystal, back up through this seed bead, and I will go through these 2 opposite way, add a seed bead, and go through the next 2. Then I'll go back down through this seed bead that's in between, through the crystal again, and up through this seed bead in between. Now I'm going to be making points on the sides here, so I will start by going through these 2 seed beads, add a seed bead, go through the next 2, skipping that seed bead that's in between and going through the next 2. Okay, we'll repeat that. Adding a seed bead, going through the next 2 seed beads, skipping the one that's in between the crystals and going through the next 2. Add a seed bead, go through the next 2 seed beads, skip the one that's in between the crystals and going through the next 2. Add a seed bead, go through the next 2, and since the next one is that other end of the oval, I'm just going to go through those 2. I will go down through this seed bead that's in between, through the crystal, up through this seed bead that's in between. We'll go through these 2 seed beads in the opposite direction. Add a seed bead, go through the next 2 seed beads, and I will go down through this seed bead that's in between, through the crystal again, and up through this seed bead that's in between. Now the rest of these points are going to be along the side, so we'll start by just going through the next 2 seed beads. Add a point, add a seed bead, go through the next 2, skip the seed bead in between, and go through the next 2. Add a seed bead, go through the next 2 seed beads, skip the one that's in between the crystals, and go through the next 2. Add a seed bead, and go through the next 2, skip that seed bead in the middle, and go through the next 2, or next 3 actually, because we want to be coming out of that tip. Okay, so we're ready for the next row. Now the next row, we're going to be going through these tips, but we're not just going through the tip bead, we're going to be going through the top 3 seed beads in that tip. So the seed bead before it, the tip, and the seed bead after it. So here I'm in the tip, so I want to be going through the one after it to start this row. Okay, so now that my thread is coming out, I am going to be adding loops all the way around. The loop before the top crystal and the loop after the top crystal is going to be 5 seed beads. So I'm going to put on 5 seed beads and go through the top 3 seed beads of the tip. So the seed bead before the tip, and the tip, and the seed bead after the tip. Okay, I'm going to do another 5 seed bead loop there, adding 5 seed beads, going through the seed bead before the tip and the tip, as well as the seed bead after the tip. Now the loops along the sides are only going to be 3 seed beads. So I add 3 seed beads, and I go through the next 3 seed beads in the tip. So the seed bead before the tip and the tip, as well as the seed bead after the tip. Add 3 seed beads and go through seed bead before the tip and the tip, and the seed bead after the tip. One more 3 seed bead loop. Add 3 seed beads, go through the next 3 seed beads of the tip. Seed bead before the tip, as well as the tip and the next seed bead. We are going to make the loop next to the tip of the oval, so that's going to be a 5 seed bead loop. Add 5 seed beads, and go through the 3 seed beads in the tip. The one before the tip and the tip, as well as the seed bead after the tip. Add 5 seed beads, go through the next 3 seed beads of the tip. Seed bead before the tip and the tip. Rest of these will be 3 seed bead loops. Add 3 seed beads, going through seed bead before the tip, the tip, and the next seed bead. Add 3 seed beads, go through the next tip, the 3 seed beads at the tip. One before the tip, the one in the tip, and the next one. Okay, we're doing our last 3 seed bead loop. 3 seed beads and going through the 3 seed beads at this tip. Okay, so now I would like to be coming out of the tip of this 5 seed bead loop, so I'm going to go through the next 3 to be coming out of that tip. 1, 2, and 3. Ready for the next row. I'm going to put on 11 seed beads, and I'm going to go through the lower tip seed bead that's directly above this crystal at the top of the oval. I'll add 2 seed beads, and then I want to go through, I want to skip the first 2 that I put on and go through the next 3. And pull that tight. I'll skip the next seed bead to form a loop and go through the next 3 seed beads. Add 2 seed beads and go through the next tip of that 5 loop. Next I'll put on 5 seed beads and go through the next tip. Put on 4 and go through the next tip of the side there. Add 4 seed beads, go through the next tip. 5 seed beads, go through the next tip, which is the 5 seed bead loop. Now we'll do the same thing we did on this end, coming out of the middle of this 5 loop here. Putting on 11 seed beads. And I'm going to go in the reverse direction through the lower tip, just above that crystal. Add 2 seed beads. I want to skip the 2 I put on and go through the next 3. I'm going to skip 1 seed bead and go through the next 3. Forms a point there. Add 2 seed beads and go through the next tip. I'll repeat what I did along this side. Add 5 seed beads, go through the next tip. Add 4 seed beads and go through the next tip on the side. Add 4 seed beads, go through the next tip. Add 5 seed beads, and I want to go through the tip of that 5 loop that I started with and go through 6 seed beads total, so I'm coming out just before the tip. Going through 6 seed beads here. So for the next row, I'm just going to reinforce the previous row I just did and add a little point along the sides for each little section. So I'm going to start by skipping this tip bead and going through the next 9 seed beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Add a seed bead and go through the next 5 seed beads. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm in the middle of the next section. Add a seed bead, go through the next 5 seed beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that puts me in the middle of the next one. Add a seed bead, go through the next 5 seed beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Add a seed bead, and I want to go through the next 9 seed beads. So I'm coming out just before the tip. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I'll repeat what I've done on the other side. Go through the next 9 seed beads, skipping this tip, going through the next 9 seed beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, Add a seed bead, go through the next 5 seed beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm in the middle of the next one. Add a seed bead, go through the next 5 seed beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Add a seed bead, go through the next 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put on the last seed bead and go through the next 9 seed beads, so you're coming out at the tip. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is pretty much the finished pendant, but I'm going to go weave it back through and tie a knot. So turn some corners here, go back down through these 3. Through these 2, just keep kind of following it around. Going through that tip. And back up through these 2. I've turned enough corners now to where I can probably tie a knot here, so I'll put my needle under the thread. Go through the loop once, go through the loop twice, and tighten. So that is the finished piece. Next step is just to add a bail or a jump ring and attach it to a cord or a ribbon or a chain. So I'll snip this end. For this pendant, I'm using a large jump ring as my bail, so I'll just open it, feed it through the top, and then onto this pre-made cord that I have. And that is the finished pendant.